If you're still wondering what's happening next to Bitcoin and the altcoin markets, this is the video you must watch. Bitcoin has been moving slowly these past few days, still consolidating around the same area and making people think about its next move. Just watch what Gareth Soloway and Benjamin Cowen have to say about this.
Basically, nothing happens, and then one day, at some point, it could be 4 weeks from now, it could be 8 weeks from now, no one knows, we probably get a massive move in one direction or another.
Now we were just talking, like, it almost looks like a little bit of a bull flag, and we were kind of talking about how this pattern of sleepiness is slightly fading down. And oftentimes in technical analysis, doesn't matter if it's charts or crypto of stocks or whatever it may be, this oftentimes can lead to a pop. But you were saying, and you brought up a good point, that in 2019 this kind of happened, but it didn't lead to a pop.
Yeah, so if you can see my screen here, there's actually and actually, you know what, Gareth? What's interesting, it's not just 2019. It's every Q3 of every pre-halving year this happens, where you get this slow fade back to the 20-week SMA and 21-week EMA. This is 2019 over here. You kind of see how it was slowly fading. And I mean, look at these weekly candles back over here. It was barely moving. And then what happened is we woke up one morning and, Bitcoin just dropped 20%, and the altcoin market basically had the life sucked out of it. Now, what also was interesting though is it was on this weekly candle right there that a lot of altcoins bottomed on their Bitcoin pairs. They kept going down on their USD pairs, but actually several of them bottomed on their Bitcoin pairs once Bitcoin saw that 20% drop. Now, imagine what would happen today if Bitcoin saw some type of a 20% drop. A lot of altcoins would likely capitulate, but just to sort of cover our bases here, look at Q3 of 2015 fading into that 20-week SMA, and we got a capitulation down. And then finally 2011 Q3, right, that slow fade down into the 20-week SMA, and then you sort of kick off the rest of the downtrend. And then it was in the halving year where things tend to pick back up.
My guess is you have a lot of investors that may be leveraging for a move up, and then when that breaks, it either stops them out by hitting their exit, or they just naturally are saying, oh my goodness, look at this exit, and so let's all. And if you have a thinner market, and I think we can agree, Ben, is that the volume right now in crypto is pretty anemic. It is. And so if you get even a decent amount of people to exit at the same time, it probably has an outsized impact on price.
And this is the main reason why crypto is not moving.
I also think the issue is that these are very illiquid markets, so it doesn't take a whole lot to move an altcoin in any direction. I mean, any buying pressure at all, any selling pressure at all can move the altcoin market 10-20%. But the issue is that it's just been a slow bleed for almost 2 years now. One thing that's interesting, the further we get into this, it seems like the less hopeful people are that it'll ever end, right?
Yeah.
I think it's important for us to all remember that, within probably, I would say, the next 6 to 9 months, there's a good chance that the altcoin market could actually turn back around in more of a macro move, right? Because you were talking a few weeks ago potentially about some of these short-term bounces on the altcoin market on the way down, and I think maybe we should talk about that. But do you think there could be a macro move in the other direction sometime within the next year or so?
I do, and I think there's I really do believe that there's a fair amount of value in a few of the altcoins, whether it's, I don't know if it's Polygon, I don't know if it's Solana or Cardano or Polkadot, but I do think that if you start putting them in a security, even if they're put in these are securities, then you have to start reevaluating them based on, what's their value in that structure? Do they create earnings, or how many networks or things are built on that specific network? And I think that's where you start to come up with saying, if we just get a little bit more clarity from the SEC, you could actually see some decent ability to value. And I think that's been one of the major issues that I've had, is that there's no transparency for a lot of this stuff. And so I find it very hard as a stock person or a commodity person to say, this is what it should be trading. We've got to give it a multiple. What's the multiple? Because in the stock world, it's Apple is this type of stock, so it gets a multiple of 20 or 30 based on earnings. For altcoins, you can't really do that, but there's got to be some metric we can use. And I do think that there is some value here that will be unlocked, but clarity again is key.
So with that in mind, these are Gareth and Ben's analyses and predictions. First for Cardano.
Yeah, at least on the daily chart. So one of them, and again, it still has a little bit of a dump. And if we get that Bitcoin flush to, let's say, 27,000 that I've been talking about, maybe that's going to be a major trend line. I kind of am eyeing Cardano. Now, Cardano right now is putting in a bear flag, which is fine by me because I'm not long Cardano. But what I do like is this trend line. See this parallel here that goes down, and we broke above it here, but then broke below, then we broke back above. This trend line should be good support again, and that's right around 27 cents. So again, a quick flush into that, I'd be a buyer, not as a long-term investment yet. I'm not confident enough in that, but just as some sort of buy there.
Next, we have Solana and XRP.
Solana's trying to break this support here, and then see this kind of coordinated. You have this downsloping trend line from pivot to pivot, and we broke out. And then this upsloping one, look at how they're meeting right there. Now, this is still a fair way away, but 1650, I love when two lines converge because it's like one line is support. If you get two lines together, it's like double the support, and it gives you more confidence as an investor or trader. So I think those are two that I'm kind of keeping an eye on if they dump out a little bit. Lastly, I'll mention XRP because XRP is actually getting closer to this previous pivot high from the last consolidation, and it's right around 58.5 cents. And I wouldn't say, go all in there. You should never go all in, but I would start to accumulate a little bit around 58 cents and then slowly buy as it comes down to some of these secondary levels. So again, the beauty of being a swing trader is that there's always something to either enter or exit. It gives you more possibility for action.
But what's happening to Ethereum and Bitcoin? Can they finally start moving soon? If so, in which direction?
Before we move on, I want to just quickly look at the Ethereum chart, just because you do see the same sort of trend line as Bitcoin has. And it's kind of interesting because all of these charts, they're semi kind of connected, and we really see the connection with Bitcoin and Ethereum, where this trend line is almost identical on the Bitcoin chart. And you can see that we are same thing, kind of getting closer and closer to that level. And to be honest, so I have a short out in Verified Investing Crypto, the service, and we're in the money. We're short from up here. The concept is, do I go long at the line, or do I just cover? And I've been dealing with that myself on a trading basis. And right now, I think I would cover the short there because there is a chance of a bounce, but I'm not confident based on this chart of it not breaking down. And so I don't think I would flip it into a long. So covering a short is one thing, flipping it from being short into a long is another thing. And just a little technical analysis here is what you'll see is the more you hit a trend line, the weaker the trend line becomes. And the concept behind this is, think about a door, right? Your door to your house is locked, your cat's inside, your house is on fire, right? And you really want to break it down, your dog's inside, whatever animal you want to put in there. You ram that door once, probably doesn't break down. You ram it twice, maybe 3 times. At some point, the force you're exuding on that door is going to make it cascade and break down. And so think about this as your doorway. And the more you hit it over and over again, eventually you hit it enough, it's going to break. And that's kind of why I'm not ready to go long Ethereum at this line. But I would say, okay, well, there's still a chance of a bounce, so I probably do cover my short. Let's just say this is a bullish pattern and we have one more leg up to go. For me, I would say right away that there's a major trend line here that I'd be watching, right? And you can see this upsloping one through these lows. I'm trying to get as accurate as possible. So you have this line connecting right through here, which upsloping wise connects perfectly right through here. And this goes back to that high from 2019 as well. So that would be like if we did break above this 31,000 and really confirm, I think there's a chance we go as high as 45. Whether or not that then creates the next pullback is kind of like you said, it's hard for me to know. And I will say this is that I do think when crypto, assuming Bitcoin is normalized with institutions, which hopefully is starting to happen with the spot ETFs, hopefully approval, I do think that bigger money coming in is a benefit for the overall longer term. But you're right, everyone's assuming it's going to be back to all-time highs in 6 or 12 months going into the halving, and I'm not convinced of that. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would try to I want to be more optimistic for sure, and just say new highs in 2025, just like we got it in 2021, 2017, and 2013. But there's also at least a part of me that wants to be a little bit cautious and say, it could play out in a different way. But I at least want to be open-minded, I guess, going into it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
The most likely scenario for Bitcoin is to go down this month. And if you don't believe us, check this video where Ben shows what happened in every pre-halving year for Bitcoin.